Hello there. If you clicked on this video, you searched, what flies do I need when I start fly fishing or when I am just fly fishing? Well, I'm going to go over a list today of my top flies. Now, I was there right where you are right now. When you walk into a fly shop, there are so many different flies to choose from. It can be overwhelming. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil down my 40 years of fly fishing and thousands of dollars in buying flies to really boil it down to my confidence flies that I know work for trout. All right, so if you have been fly fishing for a while and you have a favorite pattern that always works for you, I'd love to hear what that pattern is. And I'm sure anyone's new to fly fishing that's looking for top patterns would love to see it too. So share your favorite, whether it's a wet, dry, or streamer pattern in the comments, just to help the next guy find the right fly or something that's worked for you. I'm also going to show you or tell you where to buy these flies as well. So let's go over my top patterns, and let's first start below the surface. One fly that you should have in your box is a chironomid. Now, there are a lot of different variations of chironomids. I like to use black, olive, chrome, red, in a myriad of different sizes. But chironomids can be very effective both in lakes and rivers. The next thing you want to have in your box is a slush egg. Now, a slush egg can be very productive during those times that the whitefish are spawning or salmon are spawning and the trout are right behind them eating their eggs. I found the slush egg to be very productive and really mimicking both a salmon egg and a whitefish egg. So you should have that in your box. Next is a San Juan worm. Now, I've used San Juan worms both in pink and red color, both in stillwater fishing and also rivers. Now, try to stay away from the squirmy wormies. And the reason why is because they last about 1 week or 2 fish, depending on how long they've been in your box 1 week, or if you've caught about 1 to 2 fish, they're already destroyed. That rubbery material that they're made out of melts in your fly box after a while. Found that out the hard way. And also, if you get a strike, a lot of times they're just pulling the tail right off. So I like to use ones that are tied with more of a fabric material. And that's just my personal preference. But you do want to have both pink and red worms in your box. So the next underwater fly that you want to have in your box is either the TJ hooker or Pat's rubber leg. They're very similar in how they are tied. The TJ hooker has been kind of my go-to for the past few years. I just like how it fishes. It's tied on a jig hook. The Pat's rubber leg is tied on a standard type hook, but they're basically the same fly. I generally fish the TJ hooker in natural colors, right? Either tan, olive, or black and brown, right? Those have been very productive for me in both the TJ hooker and the Pat's rubber leg. The next nymph that should be in your box, we're still underwater, is a pheasant tail nymph. Now, I prefer the beadhead pheasant tail because it does get down a little bit further, and I should actually say most of these flies that I'm talking about are all beadhead. I like fishing beadhead because it gets down into the water column faster where the fish are feeding instead of just kind of gradually floating down. That's my preference, right? I like the beadhead. But you should have a beadhead pheasant tail in your box as well. The flashback version is also very fishy fly. The next fly is the perdigon. Now, I just started recently fishing the perdigon because I have a friend of mine who swears by them. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try a perdigon. And a lot of times I fish that just by itself, right? When I know the fish are being very persnickety and I can't really tell what they're eating, a lot of times it's these tiny little nymphs that perdigon will imitate very effectively. So make sure you have some variations of perdigon. And I seemingly, in my box, seems to be all purple, but that works really well for me. All right, now let's go on top of the water. And we're going to talk about some dry patterns that I've been using consistently for decades that have caught a ton of fish and some great big fish to boot. The first one is a chubby Chernobyl. The chubby Chernobyl has a great big fluffy top. And a lot of times you can use that fly as an edible indicator. Some of those other nymphs that we just talked about, you can tie off of the hook shank of the chubby Chernobyl and use the chubby Chernobyl as an edible indicator as you're fishing that nymph underneath it. It's a great way to look for fish that are either feeding right below the surface or you might have one that just wants to eat that chubby Chernobyl. So a lot of times I'll use the chubby Chernobyl as my dry fly, and I'll tie a dropper. If I know the fish are 100% keyed in on dries, I don't usually bother with the dropper because you will tangle more having a dropper line tied to that dry fly. That's just the inevitability of fly fishing when you're fishing with 2 flies and trying to cast an entire setup. You are going to get tangled more often. But there are ways that you can cast to mitigate that, one of which is the pick up and lay down cast or water loading. But you want to have chubby Chernobyls in your box because they mimic both hoppers, big giant terrestrials, whether it's salmon flies or stone flies. These things can mimic a lot of different things. I have a variation of different sizes and colors. Purple seems to always be my go-to and what I generally catch fish off of, but there are a lot of colors you can choose from. Super visible too. I love seeing the fly out there, no matter how far I've cast or no matter how turbulent the water is. The chubby Chernobyl always seems to stay afloat. Now the next fly that needs to be in your box is the Chernobyl ant. And there's 2 variations. One doesn't have a parachute and one does. The one with the parachute is just a little bit easier to see. The one without a parachute does sink down into the water surface right there, that film on top, a little bit deeper. And sometimes it can mimic a bug just about ready to sink. And sometimes the fish likes that. So definitely have Chernobyl ants in your box and the parachute version as well. All right, I got 4 more flies to talk about on top. The parachute Adams. The parachute Adams can mimic a lot of different flies, whether it's caddis flying around, whether it's mayflies flying around. The parachute Adams really is a great all-purpose dry flies. Definitely have that in your box. The next, you'll hear people refer to this as a BWO. That is a blue wing olive. A lot of times when the fish are taking these tiny little flies, they may look like midges. Sometimes you can't see them at all. They're taking a blue wing olive. It's super important to have that fly in your box because very often and all times of the year, you get a blue wing olive hatch and you want to be able to have that fly in your box. They are tough to see. Tough to see. You kind of have to guess where your fly is, watch the fish come up, and remember, hook sets are free, right? If you think it might have eaten your fly, just set the hook. The next fly in my box is a gray wolf. I've had a lot of luck with this particular fly. And again, it's one of those kind of stimulator patterns. I don't think that necessarily tied to mimic something in nature, really. It's just more of a stimulator bug. It can kind of look like a big caddis, it can kind of look like a big mayfly, but I've had a lot of luck using the gray wolf. So I want you to have that in your box because I've caught a ton of fish on the gray wolf fly. Now, in between where the bugs are underwater and bugs on top of the water, there is an emerger stage. And I found that emerger pattern, I don't really get into the weeds when it comes to a caddis emerger or a mayfly emerger or a trico emerger or a hexagena emerger. I just kind of went with a parachute emerger that is size appropriate, right? If you can see these bugs that are just sitting basically trapped in that top layer, that top film of the water, I've tried to match the size. It's not really about the species, it's more about the size. And that has served me well over the years of fly fishing, right? Not trying to get specific to the exact bug that's hatching, but something close in size and you're gonna catch fish. So a lot of times I'll use the parachute emerger in different sizes and it can mimic all sorts of different bugs that are in that in-between stage where they're cracking out of their shells from being underwater and about ready to fly away. So be sure to have emerger patterns in your box as well. All right, so let's go back underwater. Now, one of my favorite things to fish on a fly rod are streamers, because a lot of the other bugs that we talked about before, there is a level of presentation that you have to have, right? A lot of times when you're nymph fishing with indicators, you want to have a drag-free drift. Not that the fish care if the nymph is moving, but a lot of times the drag lifts the nymphs off of the bottom and it's not where the fish are feeding. So it's important to be able to manage these bugs when you're fishing those type of bugs. And when you're dry fly fishing as well, sometimes they'll take them skating across the water, but often they just kind of like a little twitch, right? So there's some work and some skill involved in presenting those flies the right way so that the fish will eat them. Well, with streamers, there's not much of a presentation, right? It's throwing this big old piece of meat out there and stripping it back in different ways as fast as you can, slow, finger rolling to mad stripping to jig stripping, all sorts of different things to get these fish to bite. But really it's about putting action on that streamer. And these streamer patterns have worked for me, whether it's in lakes, rivers, brown trout, rainbow, cutthroat trout, lahotans, giant fish, the works, right? These flies really work. All right, so what streamer patterns are my top streamer patterns? My top streamer patterns, and if you've been watching me a while, it comes as no surprise that it's a Sculptzilla, right? I use Sculptzillas in olive, white, black, and yellow. Those are my top 4 colors of Sculptzillas. They have larger size and smaller size Sculptzillas as well. I've got both of those in my box. That is really just a great all-purpose fly. It mimics baitfish, sculpins, pretty much any small version of fish that these predatory trout will want to eat. Sculptzilla just does an amazing job. And the one thing I really like about Sculptzilla is the hook is located at the back of the fly. A lot of times fish will blast that thing from the side or just hit it, and a lot of times they'll just pick up feather if you don't have a hook back there. The Sculptzilla having that trailing hook really does increase your hookup percentage when using this particular fly. I swear by the Sculptzilla, I've caught a ton of fish on it. So that is my #1 streamer fly that's in my box. The next is a sparkle minnow. I've had a lot of luck with sparkle minnows, and I encourage you to have that particular fly. Sometimes when flashy is better and a lot of shine is better, I tie on a sparkle minnow. All right, so the next and very common fly that's out there, streamer pattern, is a woolly bugger. I encourage you to have woolly buggers in your box, and these can be either weighted with a bead head or not. I have caught some tremendously large trout on a non-weighted woolly bugger. That little streamer that's swimming through, that little bait fish that's swimming right underneath the surface of the water, sometimes they're irresistible to trout. And I've caught some whoppers using the woolly bugger. That's been around and probably one of the most popular flies out there, streamer patterns. Definitely want to have those in your box. And again, it's in natural colors. I prefer olive, brown, white, black, and it's about, and sometimes kind of an olive rust color, but I do like the natural colors for the woolly buggers. All right, the next fly you need to have, and this actually was invented by a guy locally here in Washington State, in Spokane, I believe, is the balanced leech. The balanced leech, I don't know what it is about that fly. I think it's the way that it moves through the water column, because it is balanced, right? The eye of the hook is located right in the bottom middle of the fly. So the fly kind of is pulled sideways through the water. And that different action sometimes it just gets the fish's attention. I've caught a ton of fish and some really great fish, both in lakes, small creeks, big rivers, on the balanced leech. And again, it's natural colors, the olive, the black. I like sometimes black with a little bit of crystal flash in there, white, just kind of the natural colors. Yeah, have a few colors to choose from in your box. I've got in my notes right here so I don't forget any. All right, so the next streamer that's always served me well is the yummy yellow. I don't know why it works so well. Maybe it just pisses the fish off, but the yummy yellow, it doesn't look like anything in nature, right? It's great big yellow legs, maybe a crayfish, maybe that. I don't know what it mimics, but it's very effective. So make sure you have some yummy yellows. And again, I like to use the weighted version. And finally, the mini dungeon. Now, I have been using the mini dungeon specifically for brown trout, and I usually use yellow. For whatever reason, the yellow just work really well. And sometimes you'll pick up a really big rainbow using that fly as well. But the mini dungeon weighted has really been an effective fly for me when I just need maybe a little more action and a little more substance, right? They can get pretty large in size, and sometimes that's what the fish are targeting, right? A bigger fly. I don't generally use the really big dungeons, but the mini dungeon is the perfect size. And again, the hook located towards the rear of the fly, which helps with your hookup percentage. All right, so the next fly are jig leeches. I've been using jig leeches now for a little bit over a decade, and they can be super effective. What's crazy is some of the smallest jig leeches can catch some of the biggest fish. I had this particular fly in a very popular lake down south, and I caught the biggest cutthroat that I've ever caught in my life using an olive little jig leech. It's pretty incredible how fishy this fly is. I've also used it on small creeks and caught some tremendous trout using this particular fly, especially casting it upstream and stripping it back really fast. The jig leeches, just the action and the profile gets the fish's attention. So be sure to have that in your box. Okay, so now where do you find these flies? I'm gonna give you 3 places to look, right? And this is just where I've personally got the best service and found the best price and the most quality flies, right? All flies are not created equal. Try to stay away from the ultra discount shops because those things fall apart quickly, and there's nothing worse than having a couple of these flies in your box and they start working and they're falling apart. So these three places have always provided a very quality, a great fly. The first is your local fly shop. My local fly shop is a Puget Sound Fly Company. And Matt stocks some great patterns that can be found right around here in Washington State. A lot of the popular patterns, both with steelhead and in trout. So check out your local fly shop, and a lot of times they can point you in the right direction. The next is an online family-owned retailer, Red's Flies, and it's REDDS Flies. I happen to be sponsored by Red's. I like supporting family-owned companies wherever I can. Most of my flies today are from Red's. I found them to be durable, they look good, they fish well, and they hold up, right? Even to the big fish, I'm not getting any type of straightening that's happening with the hooks. These are solid flies, and there is a ton to choose from on his website. And again, you're supporting a family-owned company out of Atlanta, Georgia. And then finally, this, if you're near this particular place, you can stop by, and it's Red's Flies with one D, R-E-D-S. They're in the valley or in the canyon of the Yakima River Valley, but they have a great online presence as well. I have found a lot of the patterns that I can't find either in my home shop or on Red's Flies at Red's Fly Shop. They have a lot of those popular patterns in stock and they can ship to you, and a lot of times it's free shipping. So check out Red's Flies in the canyon of Yakima, and they've got a great online presence. And if you're ever in the area, you need to stop by. It's a great shop, and there's a restaurant attached to the shop that has probably one of the best burgers in Eastern Washington, hands down. But those are my confidence flies. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. And hey, if you want to learn a little bit more about setting up that dropper rig, check out this video right here. You use Tippet to do that. And this kind of goes into some detail of how to do that. And if you're having trouble with your cast because you're really new, check out this video right here. This video, 8 minutes. I promise you, you'll start casting that fly rod a little bit better than you are today. All right, everybody. Till the next time, fish on.